Why didn't it say recording? Let's see. Can you guys, hey Trevor, can you hear me? Trevor, yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, and it's recording, right? Where does it say it's recording? Your screen sharing. It's recording, right? It's recording. Good. Okay, I'm gonna hide this. Hide 20 minutes goals. So let's see, why isn't this projecting this thing? Is it running it through? Right. Is it running through? All right, that's the first one.
Yeah.
It's your Beth, right?
Yeah.
Right. Hey guys, Beth, hey, Beth's gonna talk about, she went to Ghana. She's gonna talk about what she did in Ghana.
Yeah.
I don't know what, anyway, I'm putting her on the spot kind of, but
So last spring, I went to Ghana as like a global technical workforce class with Queenie and Dr. Honkin. So it was actually really fun. I don't think, yeah, no one else in here went, but there were a few other chemies. Yeah, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I mean, I'm just showing you pictures, like that's kind of it. But I mean, so on the picture of the left, that's just like a typical like food that you would eat in Ghana. So there's something called jollof rice. It's probably the best thing I've ever eaten in my life. So if you can ever like find that, like go eat it because it's just amazing. And then on the right, that's like what a typical like nicer building would look like when we were there. Yeah, like that's it.
Really, with the red roof is the nicer one?
Yeah. Yeah, and then I have
I should say something about Ghana has like 30 million people, I guess.
Yeah.
It was the first colonialized African country that got free in like 1957, I think. And then, but the others followed suit like in 60, 63, that time period. So it was seen as like a leader. And then the US, so there's like a Pan-Africa movement. Anyway, once they were freed from England, a lot of the other countries were French colonies. You know, this is an English colony in the end. It's called the Gold Coast also because they have gold and minerals and some other stuff, a little bit of oil. Anyway, after they were freed, they were kind of became a dictatorship almost. Like there was one guy that ran the country up until like in the 70s, I think. Then they had a military coup. The military took over. But now they're like a democracy kind of based similar to the US, like a two-party democracy.
Yeah.
And then it's known as, so there's a lot of Ghanese people that end up in the US. It's only 30 million, which is kind of relatively small for Africa. But like a lot of them become educated because they're English speaking, so they end up in the US. So you'll run into a lot of Ghana, I guess you call them Ghanese physicians and stuff, and also in PhD holders and stuff. So they go, I think a lot of them have been to school in the UK, like in Cambridge and things, and they come to the US. So it's kind of like you run, even though it's 30 million, you run into a lot of Ghanese people. Like I know 3 or 4.
Yeah,
You know,
so
it's kind of weird, like it's overrepresented, I think, in some ways. And also, all right, because they were the first free, then like the and this dictator led the Pan-African movement, which is like all African countries are the same, and they're unified also with the Caribbean and also with the US blacks. So it became like a center for this kind of cultural kind of black power thing. So, and then because of that, a lot of Black Americans go to Ghana, like for vacation to see like the roots kind of thing. So it's really tied pretty intimately with the US in a lot of ways. And it's also like the safest place to go. Like,
yeah,
because next to it is Togo, Liberia.
Cameroon's close.
Yeah, well, Liberia's next country, which is like super bad.
Yeah.
Sierra Leone. So it's like the list of the worst places that you would go to. And then Ghana's right there, and it's like totally safe, pretty much totally safe.
Yeah.
And it's the high quality of life and stuff. There's a big lake. It's like the 3rd largest reservoir on Earth or something, Lake Volta. Yeah. It's like right in the middle of Ghana. Anyway, but if you go north of Ghana, you get to Burkina Faso, which just had a military coup. And it's kind of like you get to the Sahel on the north part. So it's like Chad, Niger, Mali, right? So it's kind of like north of Ghana is like dangerous, you know? And then east and west of Ghana is kind of dangerous, and then there's the Gulf of Guinea, which is
Which
like
is also
beaches.
dangerous.
And yeah, and it's like known as a tourist site for surfing.
Mhm.
I think it's like a surfer
Yeah.
haven or something.
Yeah.
So it's kind of got an interesting place to go to. It's
Yeah.
a safe place to go.
Oh yeah, I liked it a lot. So I'm sorry, this also wasn't,
What was the weather like? Here?
oh, hot. It was like, I felt sticky like 24/7. It was
Okay.
so humid. Like I would shower and then get out and still just feel sticky. Like it was not fun. But so this trip wasn't just like a tourist thing. We also did like industry visits. A lot of it was like chemical plants and like food processes or just construction sites kind of thing. And then we also did like a lot of historical visits too, and then all the touristy stuff. I tried not to add as much as that in there. It's just mostly like what the life is like there in general. But if you have any questions, like just interrupt me. I don't care. So again, when it comes to like construction, so you would see, sorry, I don't know if you can see it that well, but on the left, you would see a lot of construction machines. Like that was a constant thing in Ghana. Like they were just trying to continuously improve everything. But if you can tell, like most of the roads are just dirt there. So a lot of it would always be pushed back if they had rain. And then while we were there, like for I think 2 days it rained. And then when we were driving past, you could see just a bunch of cars flipped over. Yeah. So the infrastructure there is not that good, but they're obviously trying to improve it. And it takes a long time to like do that. So and
Where's
then
the construction in the left one?
sorry, it's just like a lot of cranes and machines. I don't know if you can see it that well.
Yeah. The weird thing in Africa, in the sub-Saharan, not so much in South Africa, but you see like construction like that, and if you go back in 10 years, they're still constructing. They
Yeah.
don't have like bank loans,
Yeah.
so
Pretty
everything
much.
is paid cash, like the money you have.
Yeah.
So like a guy I knew there was building a house, but he was building a house for like 20 years. It's like he'd add the kitchen
Yeah.
on there, like whenever he had money, and the same when they put up towers, you know. It's like the same tower will be being built for like 20 years because they don't have a bank loan to fund
Yeah.
the construction. There's no banking system, you know.
They were
You don't
telling
realize
us
it.
that like if you had like $1,000 American, you could have like a really nice house in Ghana, but you wouldn't have it built for like 20 years. So I mean,
Yeah, it's
sort of
crazy.
depends.
Are they on the USD or do they have their own?
They have their own currency. It's called CDs. I think it's for one CD, it's like equivalent to $12 American. At least when we went, that was it. It's probably more now though. So
How was it? How much did it cost a lot? You think so, or was everything really cheap?
it was super cheap. Like most of our like really nice meals, I could probably spend like $2 American for. So yeah,
How
it
much
was.
was it? Yeah.
We didn't have a cab. We actually had a bus, like, cause it was just like safer for us. But
Okay.
yeah. On the right, again, that's a very typical thing you would find just all around in Ghana. Like they just have these shacks and they just sell a bunch of things there. I have more examples of that, so I'll just. Yeah, so like this is an example. They're just selling a bunch of like, yeah. But they'll literally sell anything and everything to you, like even while you're just like driving past.
Oh, yeah, that's something. All right, that's good.
Yeah, sorry, that's probably, yeah, I can go back to this one too, if you can see that better now. Yeah,
So it's
so-
always kind of rainy, or?
it doesn't, so when we went, it was technically the rainy season, but it only lasts like a month there. So it's not that bad, but. And then, yeah, so again, like pretty much anywhere you drive, it's kind of nice. If you need literally anything, you can probably find it within like a mile. So like if you need tubs, if you need, like we saw people selling doors, like food, clothing, literally anything you can think of. That was kind of crazy. And then at one point, I think one of our tires like blew up or something. So we had to get a new one and it took like 5 minutes. So. Yeah, so this is also very typical. So one of the industry visits we did was it was mainly about like the waste that Ghana produces, and it was how to create this waste into something more renewable and better. So this is just an example of like some of the waste that they have. I had a picture of this giant mound of waste, but I was like, like I don't need to show that. But again, that's also like just a typical thing that you would see. So this is in Cape Coast. So another like sad thing is that every time we like walked around, people would always like ask us for money, which is like fine. But the kids really got to us and it was really sad most of the time. But what they would do is they would literally just like come up to you and then they would just like scream and like ask you for money. And then one point, like one of the kids gave us a note saying like they need money for like school, food, and like something else. So I mean we caved quite a few times, but like it was just so sad. Oh yeah, and then that's us playing soccer. So we were able to again like get to know the locals pretty well. I don't know, like 12 days or something. So it was last spring break. But we went a little bit early. So if you can tell, like that soccer ball is obviously not really a soccer ball. So I mean, one thing we did for these kids too is, and they don't have shoes on, but one thing we did was we got them all shoes and a new soccer ball, just because like we had a really good time with them. We would probably play with them every day. They are really good, and I was so embarrassed. So another thing we did is we went to like this floating village thing. I have another few more pictures, but this was pretty cool too. A lot of nature and like wildlife is everywhere. I think we saw like 5 to 7 alligators just within this like one boat ride. So that was really scary because we're very, yeah, like crocodiles. Yeah, sorry. But like they were really close, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. But yeah.
Did you see hippos?
No, thank God. Oh my God. If I saw a hippo, I probably would have cried. Like, no way. But yeah, so this is what the floating village looked like. Again, it was pretty sad. Like when we walked around through it, and a lot of people were just like laying on the hard like planks. So that was really sad. Yeah, so this village actually produced I think 60% of the fish for Ghana. So that was really cool. So we got to learn about like, yeah, I think it's on the reservoir you were just talking about.
Oh, okay, like both of them.
Yeah, so that was really cool. We got to learn how they fished. They wouldn't let us fish. Makes sense. I would probably break something, but. And then another really cool thing is that on the left they have like no light pollution like anywhere, so you could kind of just whip out your phone and you could just like take really cool pictures. And then in the morning again, that's what most of the sunrises looked like, which was nice. One thing about this place that we were at, I forget which side of Ghana we were on, but they always told us you can't go swimming here because you will pretty much die. It was just too rough. And they were also like, you got to watch out for the Somali pirates. So I was like, all right, cool. And then on the bottom, this was one night we were at dinner and I was like, what is this? And then we found out it's bats. So that was also crazy. Yeah, they just like constantly kept going. Like we have like a 3-minute video of that just like, and we were like, all right.
That's where Ebola comes from, you know, like the bats.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, this is cool. Yeah, it's like if they don't get close, I don't care. But
that beach is great. So that's the ocean, right?
Yeah. And then most of the time we would just stay with like universities when we were there. Our last 2 nights we were at like a resort, like to the point where Queen Elizabeth was there at one point, I guess. I don't know. So it was really nice and fun.
How much was that?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. Like I have no idea.
Oh, it's just they paid for it.
Yeah, so UC got a grant. So we only had to pay, I think, like a grand to go on this trip, and that included flights, hotel, and then most of our food. So yeah. So that was really nice.
How many were?
I think there were 13 of us, and then the 2 professors, so 15. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this is just another example of what you would find on like the side of the road. One day I got like 3 coconuts, and they were like the best coconuts I ever had in my life. I didn't include a picture because I look really stupid, but but yeah, and then a few other people got the pineapples, and they are white. They're not yellow. So, but they were really good. Like the food I had there was probably the best food I've ever had in my life. So. And then, oh yeah, sorry. They also just take machetes and like chop them up right in front of you, which is pretty cool. This is just another picture. So this is what I'd say like most of Ghana actually looked like. So again, kind of sad, but yeah, I don't know. Like that's probably what they replaced or blown up tire with.
Oh yeah, it's a brand new tire. Maybe the selling it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, oh yeah, there you go. So that's like this is where we got our tire. But
so this guy from Nigeria is telling me like when the tire goes bald.
Yeah.
So they take a knife and just cut and tread into it and sell it.
Yeah. It's actually kind of cool.
It's pretty crazy, like, it's not really safe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I thought I had more, but that's kind of it. We had like 10,000 pictures, so I didn't want to like. I kind of just went through the first 10 and was like, this is good. But if you guys want to skip them once, I can show you. There are a lot more.
So this is just at the side of the road somewhere?
Yeah. So sorry, I don't have a picture, but I thought I did. I had a picture of this woman, so she had she was carrying like food on her head. And in our bus, like on like a very busy road, they would just walk in between you and like other cars and just like sell you things. So that is also kind of crazy because I was like, girl, you're gonna get hit. Like there's just nothing there to like stop someone from hitting someone else. So I was like, all right, but yeah, I don't know, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So did you talk to the other students, like engineering students or something?
So it was open to any engineering student. So if anyone's a fifth year in here, you probably know Nathan Honkin or Graham Overstreet. They also went. I'm trying to think. There were like I think only 2 other chemies, but they're my year, so fourth year. But I don't know. I think there's only like 3 fourth years in here. So, and then like 1 freshman, and that's it.
Okay.
It's mainly like third years. And
That's really cool. This was last spring.
yeah, this was literally like 6 months ago.
How long's the flight?
I think total, I think it was 14 hours. Like, so we flew to JF. No, we went to Detroit, then we went to Amsterdam, then we went to Ghana.
Okay.
Then on the way back, we went from Ghana to Paris to Detroit to see some more. So. Oh, and then when we went, the business group, I guess, also went. So we saw them a few times. So that was, I guess, cool. I was like, wow, okay. But they flew like from Ghana to JFK and they said their longest one was like 13 hours. So like just straight. So I'm glad we didn't do that, but
Would that be easier? There's 2 flights.
yeah, just 2 flights, but also like painful. You just like sit there for 13 hours.
Yeah.
Were you just passing through Amsterdam and Paris?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we had like 6 hours in between, so I guess we could have gone and like done stuff, but we were also like, nah, because on the way back, Paris was having like their major riots, so we were like, maybe not today.
Like language wise, was there any difficulty, or did they all speak English, or did?
Almost all of them spoke English actually, which was pretty cool. They tried to teach me some of theirs, and I felt so bad because I was like, oh god, like I'm already really bad with English, so there's no way I'm gonna be able to get this. But yeah, like pretty much everyone we spoke to was like they spoke English. And then we actually went to a college or a university one day, and they explained to us that they have something called like a service. So to go to college there, it's really cheap. But when you're out of college, you have to spend like a year like serving the government in some way. So you like can go work for a company or you can like it's not necessarily like military, I guess is my point. But it was interesting because when we were there, everyone did not want to be there. They actually wanted to come to the States. And I think that's one of the biggest issues they have right now is trying to keep people there. So
Yeah, I read somewhere, and I looked up I mean, you're gonna talk, and I read somewhere that there were like more physicians from Ghana in
Yeah.
Chicago than there are in Ghana.
yeah,
And then I went to look that up and I couldn't find anything that said that, you know. But
yeah,
basically, I think everyone that's educated just comes here.
they tried to.
But there's not that many, like 30 million is not many people.
Yeah.
It's not like Nigeria, it's 10 times
Mhm.
as many people.
But it was really cool because they were like explaining like the education system and it's like completely different from ours. So
No, well, it's a British system, I guess.
yeah.
It's like 3 years college.
They like one kid, so they were all like engineering, like it was an engineering school we went to, but they were like, yeah, we take 14 classes per semester. And I was like, good luck. Couldn't be me, but yeah, so that was kind of brutal. But
Is that true? I mean, how could you do that?
they have like a block schedule. It's like so different. And then they also go like 6 days a week, not 5 like us. So Yeah,
they
they're
go-
way more intense.
How many years did it? This was.
So theirs is similar to us where they like kind of they just keep going until they can't, pretty much. So if you like get through your first semester and then you want to take a break, then you can do that. So it's kind of on their own time. But most people do it within like 4 years.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's like the German system is kind of, and then you take an exam at the end or something to pass out?
Oh yeah. So to get into college, they have to do something similar to our ACT or SAT, but it's a lot more in depth. So you have to do like 3 major exams, pretty much pass all of them, and then you have to do like an English exam too, just to get into college. Then when you graduate, you have to do like all of your finals for your normal classes, but then you have to take like one overall like comprehensive exam, and then pretty much if you fail that, you can't graduate. So
That's like the German system, but during
Yeah.
the Germans, like during the school, they don't take in like practically no exams.
oh no, they take exams all the
Like
time.
they just show up, like in Germany, I think in liberal arts though, but because the technical universities are different, but the
Yeah.
liberal arts, like you just show up and listen to the lectures, you don't do anything, and then finally you're responsible for it afterwards, you know?
Yeah,
There's one big exam.
yeah. So
Something
theirs was
that-
intense.
Did they speak German there? Or?
Well, I mean, if they do, I wouldn't know. They didn't speak German to me, so
Because you know, it's a mixed history. Like the Portuguese were there, then I think
Yeah.
the Germans and the French were there, and finally the British were there.
Mhm.
So I knew somebody from there that went to school in Germany after, as
Yeah.
if like they were speaking German.
a lot of them were trying to teach me Swahili at one point, and I was like,
Oh, they speak Swahili?
some of them do. At least, so all the students in college, most of them, I think, said that they could speak 4 languages. All of them can either speak, most of them speak English and Mandarin, like their native language, and then it's like a different one for each person. So they can either speak like French, German. I knew someone that spoke Italian for some reason, and then someone spoke Spanish too. So,
Interesting.
or like
Yeah,
Arabic. or
that's
something.
my impression. The people I know from there, they speak different language. Like it isn't
Yeah.
like just English. Yeah,
All of them have to be like quadlingual by the time they graduate. So.
that's pretty good.
What were the industries you saw when you were there?
So one of them was a food processing one. And it's not like a big company, like it was literally this person's house, like their basement. But it was pretty cool to see that. And they're like, I have pictures, so I can like show you later. But they were pretty much selling like chocolates and stuff, which is also what Ghana is known for. Another one was about, again, a lot of it was about waste management. So just like how do they control all of their waste and like what's a better way to like get rid of it besides just burning it or letting it all pile up. So I honestly forget what all the companies are called. Or no, I remember one of them's called Sika. That one's more international actually, and they're the first one in Africa. So I kind of forget what they do. They do, I think, more like pavements, like roofing, stuff like that. So that was like the construction one. But I'm trying to think. I think those were like the main 3. So
They have oil.
Yeah.
They
Oh, yeah.
mention that at all?
Well, we were supposed to go to one, but instead we decided to go on like a fun little hike. So because Creamy was like, I'm tired, it's hot, let's go somewhere else. So we were like, okay.
Yeah, makes sense.
But yeah. And then again, this is pretty much just all the life or like what local life's like. We did a lot more like cooler activities, but
So you were mostly near the coast, but you didn't.
yeah, it's like the safest part. So the way UC gives us a grant is that so Queenie has to go to Ghana prior and like make an itinerary and be like, oh, this is safe, this is not safe, and then kind of like submit it to UC for like an approval.
Yeah.
And he's actually gonna do that for Botswana this summer, and then 2025 he'll do a trip for there too. But yeah, and then in Ghana it's like all of the like coasts are like considered more dangerous. So we had to be a little bit more careful. We were mainly in Accra, Kumasi, and then Cape Coast. So we didn't go like super north because that's, I guess, really dangerous.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good trip.
Yeah, it was actually super fun.
Did you get a lot of shots together?
A lot of shots.
Nice.
So I got A lot of other people, yes. I didn't have to because I've traveled internationally prior.
Mhm.
So I only had to get like one, but we did have to take this medicine for oh shoot, what's it called? It's either malaria or yellow fever. I forget which one already. But
Yellow fever's a shot.
okay, then it was malaria medicine, and you had to take it 7 days before we went. And then during our entire trip, we had to take it, and then 7 days after. And it was actually horrible. I swear to God, it made me trip. Like, it was, oh God, it was so bad. But yeah.
Made the trip more interesting.
Oh, 100%. This is crazy.
It's a really colorful place.
I had some whack dreams while taking it.
That's
So,
good.
yeah.
I've heard that before, but now we're on, right?
Yeah, it was something like that. A lot of people ended up like their stomachs would hurt a lot, and then like some people like threw up because of it. Yeah, it's really bad for you. But I mean, I'd rather do that than get
I've
malaria.
taken it
So.
and it didn't do anything. You know?
What?
I've taken it and it didn't do anything.
I probably didn't take it right. They had instructions on it, but I was just like, let's just
Huh.
take it. But
I know, I've heard I think it says on it, it has side effects like that.
yeah,
It mentions it. You know, you see, everybody does that.
yeah. So everyone had to do that.
Made an interesting trip, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
We've never had any experience like that.
Yeah, I got lucky. I didn't get sick on the trip, but quite a few people did. One guy has a peanut allergy and he ate peanuts one day, so that was bad.
Yeah.
Did he have like nasty pan and everything?
Yeah, and we almost had to like rush him to like we had almost had to like take him back, like send him back to the US. And it was like the second day we were there too.
Like the hospital?
No, because you can't go to a hospital there. Like it's not like so like our agreement to go on that trip is like if you get sick or anything, you have to go back to the US because they don't necessarily trust Ghana's medical
Okay.
like hospitals and stuff. Not that it's bad. Well, honestly, I don't know if it's bad, but like that's part of it. Yeah, and then obviously like just normal stuff like travelers, like diarrhea, or
Yeah.
like just stomach bugs and stuff. But
Yeah, that you just get, you just have to bring them.
yeah, you just pretty
The
much.
Cipro stuff takes care of it.
Yeah.
It's like basically, the worst part is if you don't take the Cipro right away.
Yeah. So,
That's pretty good. That's what we need to do.
yeah, and then I'll definitely go to Botswana next spring or
Okay.
with Queen Bee again. So,
Yeah,
because I'm like, when else am I gonna go?
yeah, I've been to Botswana before. It's pretty nice.
Yeah,
It's-
I really
that's
wanna
only
go.
got like a million people.
Yeah.
The place, you know.
And all like the wildlife there is supposed to be phenomenal. So
Yeah, you know her.
yeah, so and he wants to do like a 3-day excursion or something there. So I was like, okay.
Well, Victoria Falls is in good too.
Yeah, yeah.
That was-
So that was cool.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good. That's something good trip.
Cool.
It'd be good though, if you go to Botswana, they go to South Africa, it's right there. isn't it?
Yeah,
in fact,
I've actually been to South
I mean, you
Africa.
can't fly into the Johannesburg. probably.
Yeah.
So you've been, where have you been in South Africa?
I'm totally blanking now, but what's the other one?
Town?
Cape Town, yeah.
Okay,
So we went to Cape Town.
all right, that's
Cool.
great.
And Kilimanjaro. What's I forgot to say it.
Kilimanjaro's in Tanzania.
Not that one. It starts with a K. It's like the biggest mountain in South Africa.
Oh, okay.
I forget what it's called though. But I went like literally 2 weeks after Ghana, so
Okay.
yeah, that was fun too.
Oh, so you went from Ghana to Cape Town.
Yeah, so it was
Oh,
like,
that's a pretty good trip.
oh no, not with Ghana. I went with my friends for South
Oh.
Africa, but
Okay.
it was like literally right after spring break.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the people were talking about taking a trip to Cape Town. after they
Oh, for real?
started things to the homeworld.
Yeah, you
You're
definitely
the
should.
person to talk to.
I guess.
It just takes me. That's pretty good. Yeah, but now I'm just like the break in
Mhm.
South Africa. I don't know.
I'll find pictures. I forget. I'm totally blanking on what the mountain's called right now, but
Okay.
I can't remember.
Was it like vineyards and stuff, or was it?
Um,
skiing or-
so on one side, yes, but on the other side it was like all hiking, so it was a little weird.
Well, one side was vineyards.
Yes.
Oh, so that's not, but anyway, that's just near Cape Town.
Okay.
So, yeah,
I forget what it's called. Yeah, it's not like a world renowned, but
yeah. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So you've been all over the place.
I've been to a few. Yeah.
That's good. All right, so that's pretty good. That's.
So
Thanks for doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to keep going, like the homework this week is about setting up the solar panel thing, so I wanted to go through that. We got like 20 minutes or something, yes, but I can figure out how to do this. Is that this? Yeah, that actually wasn't even PowerPoint. I changed some of this stuff, so let me get the. Oh, this should have done open in PowerPoint.
There's an X under the Zoom thing on the top right.
That's good, but I don't actually want the mail. Oh, I already downloaded this. Should be in here. Oh, so this, yeah, there's also some stuff. I put a few, what did I put up here? All right, so this thing's like a video. This is pretty interesting. So they're doing the same thing as what the homework is. Like they're putting solar panels into this camp, into this like so it's in Dominican Republic, but in Haiti, like Haiti is really bad, right? So things are really bad in Haiti. So the people cross, and it's on Hispaniola island, and the people like cross into Dominican Republic to work, but the Dominicans, so the Haitians speak French, and then the Dominicans are Spanish. So they kind of hate, and the Dominicans are kind of white, Spanish more or less, and the Haitians are all black. So they hate them, you know. So they shoot them and stuff at the border, things like that. But anyway, they need them to work on the sugar cane to chop the sugar cane. They pay them like $2 a day for work. And apparently there's like generations of Haitian origin people living in Dominican Republic on these sugar plantations. There's a group from Puerto Rico that went there and are putting solar panels into the kind of shacks to give them because they don't have electricity, they don't have anything in these shacks. Dominican Republic itself is pretty rich, right? And there's resorts there and things. So you can get a vacation on the beach there and all this stuff. So right next to the sugar plantation is like the resort place, you know. So anyway, I thought it was kind of interesting. It's the same project. They're like putting in solar panels, or putting in a refrigerator, kind of for vaccines. They did computers and things. It's the same setup, but it's a Puerto Rican group doing it. And they're just talking about how, I just thought it was kind of interesting, like what, because you don't hear much about the Haitian guest workers in Dominican Republic much, but there's actually a pretty big problem there. So anyway, I just put that up. It's a video. Oh, and then I was talking about, so I've been emailing some people about trips, you know, so we can go to so it seemed like people wanted to go like on Thursday after class sometime, you know, so we can do that. But there is like, then someone said like coal mine, right? Which I hadn't mentioned coal mine, but there is a place you can go to a coal mine. So 4.5 hours from here. I'd go, I guess, if people wanted to do it. But it would have to be like anyway, this is a UC group that actually went there. They have pictures of it. Like these guys they're from, you know, that health program over on East Campus. There's a whole like college of health, not the medical school. There's a separate kind of college for like health. Anyway, health science, yeah. There's a building, they have their own program, and these people are from that program. Like they do like respirators and things like that. Right? So anyway, so they went I'd go to the coal mine if anybody wants to go. This is a story about going to it. I can definitely arrange this if anybody wants to go. But it's like past Louisville, you know. It's not towards West Virginia, it's the other way. And it's kind of interesting. There's a coal mine. Then right from the coal mine, they have conveyor belts to take the coal to like a port thing on the Ohio River. They just load barges up with coal like right there. So I think if you go to Fort Miami, I think it's Miami Fort power plant, the coal probably they're getting is probably from this coal mine, this Riverview coal mine thing, you know. I mean, it's interesting to see how this, anyway, they say, like, if you read this, they're all like pretty positive about the coal mine. I have positive, so I would have a problem in a place like this, but I'll do it. If people want to do it, you know. I might freak out. Maybe I'll take Mel around and I'll make it better, you know. But anyway, so it's kind of interesting. We could do that if you guys want to do it. We'd have to do it on a Saturday, you know. It's like 4.5 hour drive, so you'd have to like leave at 8 or something, and then go to actually, I don't even know if the coal mine, you have to do it on a Friday, if you guys have Friday off. Because the coal mine would have to be open kind of. Then 4.5 hours there, and then like go look at the tunnels or whatever. Could stop at Louisville on the way back, I guess. I don't know what's there, but you have to figure out something to make it interesting. But if anybody wants to do that, I'd do it. I mean, it would be interesting to see what the coal mine thing is, you know. I mean, we need to get like 5 people that wanted to do it, I guess. They had, how many did they have when they did it? They did this in the springs, this is recent, you know, March 2022. Oh, I guess a year ago in the spring. But the names of the people are all here, so I can just, it would be easy to set up, you know. I could just contact them, but why don't you email me if you want to go to the coal mine? But we definitely would go down to Miami Fort Power Plant. It's really interesting. I mean, that also has a problem, like you have to climb up. I mean, they take you up to the top of the plant. It's like 10 stories high or something. It's pretty scary. On scaffolding, you know. But there's the furnaces and stuff are incredible. Like it's unbelievable what goes on at those places. Zimmer was better. Zimmer was like a huge plant. This is like maybe half as big as Zimmer, but it's still pretty impressive, like how much coal, like how they go about burning coal and make electricity with it. Then the Fort Miami and the Zimmer are closed. So I was kind of looking that up, and then so like this company Vista or something bought all the coal plants. Like that's Fort Miami. Oh no, this is in Illinois. Anyway, this Vistra owns all the coal plants, and they're closing them all down because of gas. You can make electricity cheaper with natural gas. Actually, I have set up a tour up at the power plant in UC where they have like 2 big gas turbines. You can see kind of what that is. And anyway, so shutting all the coal plants because the gas is cheaper with the frack gas, essentially. You know, so the frack gas is displaced the coal. And then so anyway, so there, this Vistra company, it's kind of interesting. There's another thing. So they're converting all the coal to batteries now. So they're putting in like the 1.2, 1.6 megawatt coal plant they're replacing with a 500 whatever megawatt battery, lithium ion battery setup, because they already have the power lines coming in for the coal. So they just build a big battery bank. And then they store this renewable energy in the batteries, and we distribute it through the same power lines that they have for the coal plant. It's kind of interesting what's happening now. Like there's so many things changing right now. It's hard to keep up with it all, you know. Anyway, so the other thing, like there's so much Africa in the news, like all this, like this Gabon just had a coup where they had an election. It was like a flawed election. And then they had the military took over. Like the people were upset about it, and the military took over basically. But there's a link to a story about Gabon in there. And then there's all this other stuff going on. Like, so Niger just had a coup also, where they displaced like a legitimate president. The Gabon president was semi-legitimate. Sudan's had a coup, and then after the coup, the military took over, and now the military is having a civil war. Chad had a coup, Mali had a coup, all these places had a coup where the military took over the countries, you know, within the last year. It's like everything, or it's like it's 2021, some of these, but so anyway, so it's kind of interesting, like there's so much changing. So this is Ghana is this country right here, like right below Burkina Faso, which had a coup. For a while, Burkina Faso was really a popular place to go because it was like the UN and the US were like dumping a bunch of money into it. Then they had a military coup. Now it's kind of like you don't go there. Then this is Liberia, so that's a really dangerous place. That's Sierra Leone. Forget what that is. Togo, something else here. Nigeria's here. So Ghana's like right there, kind of right in the middle of all the action, I guess. But it's a safe place. It's good. That was pretty interesting to hear about it. Anyway, I just put some links up here. That's the point of this. Like Ghana coup, recent coups. Oh, then the other thing that happened like this week is this. So there's the Zimbabwe. Oh, there's also the Zimbabwe election. Like there's so much happening this right now in Africa. You know, the Zimbabwe election, which is also partly corrupt. Anyway, Zimbabwe people like are moving to South Africa, and then Johannesburg. After apartheid fell, I guess the downtown of Johannesburg fell apart. So there's a lot of empty buildings. So the Zimbabwe people kind of walked to South Africa, and they're living in these buildings. You know, one of them recently burned, like it's in the news. There's a story here about that fire. 75 people were killed and stuff, kids and things. So people just move into old office buildings and kind of, there's no plumbing or anything, so no electricity. And they just, I guess they have like open fires and things. And they catch on fire periodically. So it's kind of interesting. Like that's in the kind of the world news now for some reason. I don't know why they picked up 75 people is a lot, but people are dying all over. But anyway, there's a story here, or a video or something about that. So I put a few links up. They're just things that like immediately like this week happened. You know, a lot of things are going on. Anyway, so yeah, the homework this week. So let's see. So basically, it's kind of like it's to spec out. So the notes have kind of a spec out of the requirements. How you do this somewhere in here. That's not it. It's down further. Sorry. So basically, you need to do something like this, like figure out what the equipment is that's needed, and then sort out like how to. Oh, this isn't the new. I added some stuff to the slide, and it's not here. So somehow I'm not getting the latest version of things. Anyway, the big like if it has a refrigerator in it, so you have to figure out. Oh, maybe I put that on the web page. I thought I put it in the slide, but it wouldn't be on the web page though. Oh yeah, power for a refrigerator. So if you do a refrigerator, this thing, I mean, there's a bunch of places where you can figure this out, but basically they're saying take the so it's going to be listed in amps, and it's going to be running like 120 volts. So you multiply those two to get the power in watts. And then if you want watts per hour, you normally multiply that by 24 hours, right? But because the refrigerator doesn't run all the time, they're saying to like 1/3 of the time it runs. That seems kind of high. So in other words, you take the 690 watts that this particular refrigerator uses, then divide by 3 to get the average whatever watts. In other words, only 1/3 of the time it's going to run. So you take 1/3 of 24, so you get 8 hours, right? So here in this thing, they have 80 watts and then on off. So anyway, if you multiply that out, you get like 640 with a 1/3 the time thing. But this ends up like 500, so it's a little bit less than that. I guess is what they're estimating here. Don't go ahead and take like 80 watts. So this would be like the voltage times the amps, and then times 24, because you get way too big of a number. You know, it'll be way overweighted. The same for something like a microwave. It's 700 watts, but you only use it for like 2 minutes. Right? So to heat up coffee or something. So anyway, so you have to be careful about the time usage, like figuring out the wattage and the actual usage time for the things, you know, and just make a table and sum it up to get the power consumption. And then it's also pretty important to kind of think about the peaks, like like if you go through a day, the power you're consuming, and then like in the morning you use it, then at night you use it, right? So in the rest of the day you're not using it, but you have to design your system around the peak usage. Otherwise, the lights will go out, right? So basically, you need to have peak usage. So it's kind of a waste, like you're not using that all the time. And what makes that even worse is that, like the efficiency of all the components, when they're not used at 100%, not used at 100% load, they get a much lower efficiency. So when you're in this flat part, you're actually consuming a lot more power, than what you would have for the same, because your efficiency for everything's down to like 20%. So that means, anyway, figuring out this power thing's a little complicated. It's a little bit more than just, but basically the homework kind of guides you through that a little bit, but I think that's the main idea of this. It's just basically the idea is to set up this, and then, I mean, there's things about like the usage as a function of time of year, and like where you are. So the peak sun that you get depends on your location, like your latitude. There's various ways to calculate this. Anyway, and in the end, you have an efficiency. So yeah, this is actually the clinic where we did what the homework is about, is like this clinic. Like this is actually the place. This is Haramaya University in Ethiopia. But so you can see like everything's outdoors because it's always nice. You can see the sky's clear. It's always like that. It's always like beautiful, perfect weather. It's at like 10,000 feet. It's right on the equator. Like it's beautiful all the time. And basically, you don't need any indoor hallways for your buildings. Everything's outdoors, because you don't need to waste the indoor space that way. So this place was built by another group, but they didn't electrify it, so it's never been used, and it's been sitting there a long time. So basically, needs power. So we kind of designed something to put in here, and then kind of set up solar panels on the roof, and then bought some equipment to go inside and things, and kind of set that up. But that was one thing we did there. And right near there, we set up a water, a more elaborate like water supply. So this is the Haramaya University. And then at the base of this, Haramaya means Lake Maya. So at the bottom of this is what used to be a lake, but now is like a dry bed, like just where cows feed and stuff. And then anyway, there's a high school up here, like kind of like almost a boarding school, and they don't have any water. So the idea was like set up solar panels here, pump the water from down outside the pitcher up, and this goes up a hill, then fill a water tanks up here, and then have distribution at the school, and then there's a little village here, right? So I have like 2 distribution places. So anyway, that's the way it looks. Like on the school, we set up, this is an array of solar panels to run the pump to run the water up the hill. So you can see, like, keep people away from it. There's barbed wire all around it, and there's like dirt all over everything. So that, like, these don't have optimal efficiency because they're always kind of covered with dust and things, So anyway, that's what happens when you try to set something up, is it's not going to be like a perfect system. So the efficiency of this thing's pretty low compared to what it would have been designed. And then that's the tank for the water at the top of the hill. And this is one of the distribution things. There's 2 distribution places for water. This is inside the school. For some reason, they do this, like they paint. I don't know why they do this. This is an actively used school, but they paint on the windows like that. So I don't know why they do that, but basically all the windows, if there's windows, they look like that in the village, In the university, they aren't like that, but in this village, nothing has a window in it mostly. And when they do have a window, they're spray painted for some reason. I don't know. There's probably some reason they do that. Anyway, so yeah, that's about it. That's kind of like close to the homework, but for this week. It's due on Monday, but so hopefully you can do that. If you have any questions on it, just email me. Oh, and I got a guy. At least one person's coming in from Nigeria on Tuesday. So to talk about Nigeria and stuff. So that should be pretty interesting. Nigeria's got, like, also had recent stuff, like they had an election. They had a young guy running against an old guy. And the old guy kind of lost, but he said he won. So they're, anyway, so they have a problem that they have a president that nobody wants. And then now Niger just had a coup in ECOWAS, the West African economic, whatever, wants to have armies go in and like fix the coup in Niger. Right, but the guy who's leading it is this president of Nigeria who is like a false president. Because he's kind of using that to boost up his internal whatever political capital. You know? So it'd be interesting to hear what he has to say about that, you know, about what's going on there. There's a lot of politics going on now, you know, so it isn't necessarily just, and I think it impacts anything that you want to do there, to think about, like, what's the situation? You're going to be given money or time into something, and like, you know, are you contributing to the right side or the wrong side? You know, like you don't exactly want to be helping a dictator keep his people down. You know, if you can help it. But anyway, all right. So that's about it. So, everyone okay with it? Questions? Okay.